In this episode, we are headed back into Washington to a tough hike called Hamilton Mountain, which is nestled within the Columbia River Gorge. This hike near Beacon Rock takes you up to a pair of lovely waterfalls and on a clear day, some amazing views of Mount Adams. To get here from Portland, head to the Bridge of the Gods and take the bridge. You will then drive 6.9 miles west on Highway 14 towards Beacon Rock. The parking lot will then be up just the hill on your right-hand side. The trailhead here is pretty family friendly, and it is equipped with decent bathrooms, a little playground structure, and some tables. There is also a nice picnic kitchen shelter which can hold up to 40 people and is offered on a first-come basis. Well, the baby's all loaded up. We're up to the top of Hamilton Mountain. This is going to be our longest hike with the baby, one of the tougher ones. Let's see how this kid's backpack really does as we venture up on top. This hike offers you two pretty good options, either an easy 2.2 mile out and back to the waterfalls, which is popular with the kids, or an 8-mile loop taking you up to Hamilton Mountain. Please be aware before starting this hike, it is advised to clean your shoes of any invasive weeds to help preserve the Columbia River Gorge. Now let's start off with this trail review. Well, as we start off on this Hamilton Mountain hike, it starts off pretty steep, but I think that's good because it definitely gets steeper, so it warms up your body. Yeah, we're going up there, River. After about a half a mile of hiking, you will hit a power line section where you'll get your first good views of where you are headed. You will now notice a trail connects from the campgrounds just above the trailhead. If needed, take a break and enjoy the views. Well, just after that bridge, you'll hear some tumbling rapids in the far distance, and that's because you're approaching the two waterfalls called Rodney and Hardy Falls. Certainly neat little waterfalls, and they have several good viewpoints to take a look at them. Taking this side trail will trek you down about 100 yards of somewhat steep terrain to what I feel is a disappointing view of Hardy Creek and Falls. As you continue on the trail through this second growth Douglas fir forest, you will start to hear the rumbling increase as Rodney Falls approaches. Take the trail leading you up to some railings where you should expect to get wet from this rock-walled bold falls called Pool of the Winds. So instead in the summers, some people actually go ahead and wade on through this and go into this little pool. I don't think I'm going to try that today with the little guy, but it looks like fun on a nice hot day. Typically, Rodney Falls is the turnaround spot for families, but for ambitious hikers, cross over the bridge and up the stairs to your first good view of the Columbia River Gorge. You will also see the well-known Lewis and Clark named Beacon Rock, which has a moderate 1.8 mile hike to the top. So right up the waterfalls, it gets a little bit steeper, and you'll eventually approach an intersection where you can take a more difficult trail or a somewhat difficult trail. If you can't do this section right after the hill or you feel a little out of shape, you might want to go on the difficult side, because the more difficult side is probably going to have around 50 plus switchbacks, and it definitely is a challenging workout. We made the choice to go the easier way, as the little man made it a little bit more difficult to hike that type of elevation gain. The thing about hiking the less difficult route is that it will definitely add some miles to your trip, but the elevation gain isn't as significant. Really, at the end of the day, it's smart to do the loop because you get to see a lot of cool things. So just make a judgment on what you feel you can do. Cheeto, sit. Sit. Good boy. You will now approach a little picnic area right next to Hardy Creek in what appears to be an old, unused road. At this point, you will continue on this road, following the signs leading you up to a lovely meadow. Well, we finally made it to the end of this little Jeep or service road and found this nice little picnic area. You got Mount Hood in the far distance and Table Mountain's coming right around the corner. This meadow is technically called a saddle, and I would say gives you some of the best views of Table Mountain, which is on my top 3 as one of the most challenging hikes within the Columbia River Gorge. Well, we were hoping to picnic up here today, but it's a little windy. That's typical of the gorge, and it's just something that you sometimes have to accept. You can certainly head to the summit through the tree line or use them as a wind barrier to set a picnic. It was certainly time to give the family a break, so that's what we did. Good job, buddy. Well, we just got finished with our nice little picnic at that little spot, and now we're headed up to the summit. It's really not that much further. A couple of hills, kind of weevil around into the forest, and eventually you'll get there. Just short of a mile from the saddle, you approach the summit of Hamilton Mountain, which gives you some amazing panoramic views of the Columbia River Gorge and 2 Cascade mountaintops. We're going to go ahead and take the more difficult route on down. That way we can get some really good views of the Columbia River Gorge. If you do take this route, it is smart that you bring some poles, that way you can keep your balance. The cool thing about these Deuter backpacks is that, or at least with River, he seems to fall asleep after about 3 hours of hiking, and he seems to be pretty comfortable. Eventually you will come out of the tree line and you will start to see the many switchbacks that are required to get either up or down this mountain. One nice thing about taking this trail is the great views you get of the side of Hamilton Mountain. At this point, you will go back into the forest, heading down several more switchbacks that can be a bit tricky, but eventually you will return back to the loop section we took earlier. Well, we've hit the power line section and we are just about ready to wrap up this hike. Hooray! It looks like River did pretty well in his little backpack. My shoulders and the rest of my body is still feeling pretty good, so it's nice to see that it's a possibility to do 8+ miles with a kid on your back. Definitely suggest this hike. Certainly fun, certainly beautiful, especially in May when all those wildflowers come out. So come on out, enjoy the beautiful hike, and create that second story. Happy hiking.